fellas. Your silence is in the strengths. Rise from the silence. We're talking all over fellas. The silence is the strength. Rise from the silence. The strongest thing a man can do is tell the truth. For a second. Hello, everybody. And listen, your silence, I want to speak to the gentlemen, the men out there. Your silence isn't strength. We want you to rise from your silence. The strongest thing a man can do is tell the truth. Can I be honest with you? I want you to be honest with yourself also for just a second. When a conversation, and answer me this question, and think about it, when conversations get too real, you say you don't want to fight, you don't want to yell, you go quiet. Somewhere along the way, you've convinced yourself, somewhere along the way, you convinced yourself that this was strength. Man, you know it's not. It's the most expensive habit we own because it costs so much. It's the most expensive habit that we own. It costs so much. It's costing you the people that you care about the most, right? And the ones at home don't have a problem at work or anywhere else. But when it comes to that intimate conversation with the partner that you love and desire, and you just keep getting in your own way. Look, I know because I lived this. Message that I'm sharing with you, I lived it. That's they call me the comeback king. I've stood on stages, right? Run companies. Talked to rooms full of people. But when it was all said and done, I still sat across from my partner, not able to communicate. Suffering in silence. My marriage was falling apart. My business was, man, it's years ago. The housing crash. I mean, everything was coming at me 100 miles an hour. And what I found in that time was that staying silent was not the key, was not working at all. Didn't serve me, just like I know it's not serving you. That day I learned to stop hiding. Right? I realized that I was hiding behind the things that we're going to talk about. And things changed. And if I can come back from this stuff that we're talking about, you can too. And that's why, fellas, I created, I want to make sure I get this right. Rise from Silence 5-day free challenge for the man who wins in everywhere. The man has everything, who wins everywhere else but at home. I'm gonna say that again. For the man who wins everywhere else except at home, in that relationship when it matters. So for 5 days, here's what we're gonna walk away with. Day one, I'm gonna read these things to you and we're gonna get to why we're here today, right? We're here where your pain became a hiding place. I already talked about that hiding place. When that became a hiding place and how to turn it into strength, right? Day one, man. So you're gonna already bang, get a picture of things and be able to take some different steps today, today, guys. Get excited about that. Today you're gonna do that. Tomorrow, the difference between the silence that protects peace and the silence that kills connection. That using it because you don't want to act a fool and say some things that you regret, or you're using it as a weapon. Day three, how to end the blame and lead your own life. Taking responsibilities, basically, for what we're here to talk about. Day four, how to speak hard truths without going back to that old behavior, that old pattern we talked about at the very beginning. And you justify it by saying, well, that's just the way I am. That pattern where you take silence and you say you don't want to yell. Those two. Yeah, that's it. So day four, how to speak hard truths without falling apart or fighting back. Oh, man. Think how you're going to feel when you get to that point, right? Because we're going to work together on this stuff. Day five, how to lead at home, not just in public. Man, we got something really special for those of you hanging around till day five, right? Well, some things life-changing all 4 days, but day five, it's just going to be icing on the cake, man. It's going to just set us up, man, and give opportunities for those that want to go further. So, man, listen to me. Your pain may explain your silence. I always like to say that. And you can read this. The pain may explain your silence, but it doesn't excuse you hiding from the truth. Your pain may explain why you're responding. It doesn't justify how we respond, but it explains there's something going on with you. That's a real thing. Your pain is for real, man, and I don't mean to disqualify you from that. I don't mean to minimize how it might feel for you, and then certainly about the impact that it's causing. I've been talking all week around fellas being tired of like going having a fantastic date night, a fantastic vacation with their partners, or just dinner at home. Everything's going cool, and then the conversation pops up that requires you to lean in, expose yourself, be vulnerable, speak your truth to the best of your ability, but we choose silence. You know what I'm talking about, right? You already got that, so we know what that is about, right? So what are we going to do? We're going to show up. We're going to do some work. This thing, man, let me tell you, this thing ain't for everybody. It is in certain aspects, but it really is for that person that's tired of what I just talked about, willing to do some work to make a difference in their life and really put value back in to what matters most. I'm gonna say that again, put value back into who and what matters most. We're talking to the married fellow or the gentleman that's in a relationship that has a great relationship overall. We just can't seem to get past this piece. And we've been blaming it on strength. We've been blaming it on communication. Pick your choice. Like I did. It was silent. I just didn't want to yell. I justified it, and I showed up in other ways, but I couldn't communicate, right? Share, be vulnerable and honest. Anyway, you guys get what I'm talking about. One honest decision. And man, your family actually needs his own on the other side of this silence. But one decision will lead you to that. So let me see where we're going today. Day one. Here. Okay. Everybody hear me? Yes. Okay. Day one. Man, look, we already talked about it. I welcomed everybody here. And the big promise, over 5 days, you will stop hiding behind your silence and start leading with the truth. We'll say that one more time. Day one, you're going to stop hiding behind the silence, start leading with the truth. So I have some notes here that I want to refer to. So I'm going to ask you to do some things. So can everybody agree? When you come in, drop in when your comments, where you're from, right? Put a note as to if you're comfortable enough. Put a note in there in the comment section about what is that thing that you use as for silence. Is it justifying? That's the way you've always been, so that's the way you are, and that's how you really feel, or what is it? Right? I want you to think about what is it for you? Where do you fit in this thing, right? Today I want to find out where that hiding started, right? So I'm going to ask you to participate with me through this process, right? And find out where the hiding started. There comes a point in our life when we realize that what we've been doing is caused by something else. And for me, for years, I used to just justify, like I was talking about from the very beginning, on this is how I communicated, this is the way I've been, this is how I'm going to always be, and like it or not, that kind of crazy stuff, right? And for all my relationships just kind of dissolved, and I really never figured out really that I was the one, I was the constant denominator in it. I was the one that always showed up and brought the baggage, right? We're talking about bringing baggage forward, right? And not really understanding every time we grabbed that bag and pulled it forward, man. It was sooner or later it was going to catch up with us, right? No matter how well everything else looked on the outside, man. So again, here's what we need to do today with your help and with your cooperation. I encourage you to just trust me in this space, to know that it's comfortable, to be who you are, and to share, and let's grow together, right? Because when pain becomes an excuse, there's an answer for it, right? So, and identifying, we know what the excuses are. We've talked about those already several times. It's claiming that, silence is the way we've always been, and this is how we learn to conduct ourselves the best so we don't blow up things and make it worse. That's the excuse. That's the reason why. But I challenge you to really think about what part and what time in your life. So it's two things: what part and what time in your life did you learn, right? This particular behavior. Woo! And yeah, your pain, man, it can explain why you shut down, but it can't explain why you stay hidden, right? But if you answer these questions I'm asking you, we can get to some beginning points, right? So what time and when were you in your life when life showed up and a feeling you came across that was painful and you said, I don't want to feel that again. Now I talk about it all the time, man. I know it doesn't seem like it's a lot, but early on, when I thought it was a little Romeo, and we were out and talking in a group, and I told this girl I liked her, and she's my girlfriend, and would she be my girlfriend? And she obviously, what do you think she said? And in front of all of these people, and what happens to me? Everybody's laughing at me and pointing their hand at me, thinking, man, who are you crazy? I mean, I was a good catch. Ha ha! Woo, man! And I made that. I just did what I felt like was right. I was going to say mistake, but it really was. I'm just being a child. And I know I'm not the only one that has some type of encounter like that somewhere along your journey in your life. And maybe it wasn't about a girlfriend. Maybe it was somebody that you cared about. Maybe it was a message that we get. We carry old messaging around like it's armor. And after a while, it guards and shows up, and the patterns are created that we are running on automatic pilot, right? Unaware at some point because it's been stuffed so far down and with other things on top of it, unaware of what's going on, what we've done to ignore it, what we've done to hide behind it, that we don't get it, right? And then we make these excuses, right? So what was your first time? I mean, that's when we talk about relationships, that was mine. I can still see all the people, man, on the street and beautiful summer day, right? I mean, we're out of school, man, getting ready to have a great time. And man, and it didn't work out for me. It didn't. And I didn't realize that those types of events kind of created that justification down the road. Because I swore I would never let a girl make me feel that way again. How do you think I became, right? No, I became that guy that was guarded. I became that guy that would only go so far. I became that guy that attracted, hey, check this out. We attract who we are. I became that guy who attracted people, to women just like I was, that really weren't able to have a committed relationship, that suffered from the same things, because pain attracts similar pain and behaviors attract similar behaviors. I believe that to be true. There was research on it. And it shows that is, in fact, the truth in reality in relationships. Right. But why it's important today, I'm talking to those of you because that was then, this is now. I'm talking to those of you that have a relationship that is a working and growing relationship. You just got this one thing. This one thing that keeps popping up, baby. And it does filter through some other areas of your relationship. Right. So you've been fortunate if she hasn't said, man, I'm done. Right. Because I'm gonna tell you something, a healthy person, male or female, sooner or later, you're going to force them to make a decision that's the best decision that they can make for themselves, one that they don't want to make, right? But we'll force them to make that decision, fellas. If you out there teetering on this and you're like, Jeff, whatever, man, and you thinking it's something else, listen, I'm going to tell you something. Those that have character strength and understand that they are gifted and they deserve more, and we keep stumbling over this piece and blaming it on the communication, this piece around, right? The quiet. I don't want to engage. I just stop talking because I don't want to yell at her. I just stop talking because fill in the blanks, man. Ooh-wee. I'm telling you, fellas, that sooner or later, man, you don't have to worry about stop talking because she will be gone. And we don't want that. That's why we put this thing together. That's why I created these 5. Because I didn't have them when I went through years ago. Right? It does work, and you can do it. So we talked about today some more. Tired of going quiet when it matters most. That's the part we build on today. So I want you to really be thinking, and I hope you have your note pen and pad or your phone or computer, and really start to create some type of, do some journaling. I hesitated to use the word journaling because men sometimes will take that as a feminine approach. Some understand the power in journaling and they don't have to hang up. So wherever you are in that spectrum, write it down. Let's begin to do some writing. So I want you to grab you and think about it for a moment. So take some time and really think about your life and quiet the noise, right? I mean, again, this is something you're going to keep. I don't need to see it. When we work together, we share it. But right now, I want you to do this exercise. Part of these 5 days is about this. It's really giving you some examples of things that you can begin to work on. So when the day ends and the workshop is over, you can carry that over, and then we asking you to bring it back the next day, right? So when was it in your lifetime? I already told you mine, man. Right. And if you need more help, right, because it wasn't just around girls, it was about how you felt about yourself. I had other issues, even younger ages, right? For them, those boys that learned that telling the truth was a bad thing. When you when you're playing with your buddies and one of them punch you in the face or hit you in the eye with a bat, and you want to go cry, go home, and mom and daddy's around you crying, and they're asking you why you're crying. That didn't hurt. Go back outside. Stop being a crybaby. Stop being something I can't repeat on this Zoom call or wherever it might be, right? So where is that for you in your life? Think about it. Take it a couple of minutes and listen to me. I'm going to continue to talk, give you some other examples of when you started to begin to understand that it was better to be silent. It was better not to share your feelings. It was better just to kind of be invisible as much as possible when things really got difficult. When stuff started to push against that emotion, that feeling that you had, right? When was it? And who did it, right? Who was it that kind of created that feeling? Who was it that put that impression on you? Who was it that made those things kind of stimulate around you, right? And listen, I am not here to shame you in silence, man. I'm really not. That's not what this is about. I lived it too. I told you, I'm not here to do that. I lived what we're talking about and got through to the other side. So as we're writing that down, I want you to think about how often, right? How often do we retreat to this posture in our relationships? In other words, how 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, you're dealing with your wife. I know it, everything else is cool. This is about the relationships at home, and you really kind of find yourself. How often is it? How many times is it the same subject, the same behaviors, right? It's the power of this exercise, and it's all driven from the mirror moment, is it's helping you kind of really, first of all, listen, this truly, you're already gone already, but this is truly for those that understand that they do have something that they're confused about. But they know that there's something deeper than what they're claiming or able to claim or see. That's how I was, right? I wasn't certain that, I wasn't certain that for quite a while that, yeah, maybe this was something bigger than what I thought the science was serving me for and serving her. Right? Maybe there's really something else going on that I haven't fixed yet. And because I'm looking on the outside of my world, and my outside world was phenomenal for the most part. Good. Right? I can't say that about the marriage that was coming apart. So I had those issues going on in my world. You might have some other issues like that too. So what were you doing? Who was it? How were you feeling about yourself? So I want you to start journaling this stuff down as I'm talking to you. And go from whenever that was to your current behaviors, right? What is it that triggers the pattern? You hear it all the time, right? We're talking about an action that triggers something that then creates, that puts us in the lane that's already waiting for us. We have these life. I like to think of life as a row of different patterns that are, and the car is waiting. And whenever our feelings get hit, we drop in that car, and that's the pattern we take. And we go around and around and around in circles, right? Till the next day. Park the car because it's always going to be nearby. That pattern. You guys with me? You hear what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about some real stuff, man. I don't mean to simplify it, but I'm just wanting you to hear me. I want to make it so simple you can't ignore it. Right? It may be too simple for some of y'all fellas. Hey, that's cool. Hang around here anyway. Because whatever you have been doing hasn't worked. So why not listen to what I'm talking? All right, I talked about the little boy. But I'm going to say it another way. When did it become dangerous for you? To be honest. Where in your life did being honest become a dangerous proposition, right? Because that danger, and not life threatening, maybe, hopefully not, but emotionally dangerous, spiritually dangerous to you. And you didn't want to feel that experience. We all have them. I mean, athletics, maybe it's some things that would require a deeper level of therapy, man. And if you really need that, all I can tell you around that is find the person that you can identify with, find a referral from a friend if that makes you feel better. But therapists have a role in our lives. Therapy is not a bad thing. Therapy is not a sign of weakness. Therapy is a sign of courage and bravery to be able to do that, because you're going to a complete stranger who, yes, that's their profession. They're still a stranger. And you're talking about what's really going on with yourself for the first time, getting honest with yourself. Man, honesty is key, baby. Come on. So, as you're writing this stuff down and going all the way back to that little boy, you know, and I always tell the story, or my little boy's story is, you know, at 5 or 6 years old, I'm somewhere in that age, first day of school, right? Down at we had this long driveway from our house, and, you know, I had siblings. We were like 5, 6, 7, or 4, 5, 6, 7. All of us were getting ready to get on this bus, and I remember, man, just standing at the end there, and I might as well have been by myself, because I was blocking everything else out. I knew that from playing in the neighborhood that there was going to be some kids that wanted to jump on me when I got on the bus, right? At this young age, man, and I'm standing here on the outside door. Had a cool little blue shirt with white stripes with a little V-neck, kind of like not a turtleneck, but them half-neck shirts and short sleeves, man. I had some plaid brown pants and penny loafer shoes. I can still remember that. Maybe I smile about it now. But when I was where you were, I had forgotten all about that little boy. Right? But the gift of this journey, the gift of this exercise will allow you to go back to that little boy, the little young man that you were. Because I'm going to tell you something, that's where you really begin to change. You have to go backwards in order to go forward, right? So we go backwards, man. And I'm at that corner, and I still remember that kid. And you know, I get on the bus, and the day was okay. You know, later on in the year, I got some fights on the bus and beat up. But anyway, I just remember how I had already learned that being honest was dangerous. And I couldn't really tell my parents this stuff, right? Because they, you know, we just didn't do that. Tattletales and all the other stuff. I mean, I'm sure they knew I was going to get, you know, someone was threatening me and all that stuff. Then they would get involved, and that's probably why I didn't do it, right? Because I didn't want to then. Because when they're gone, you know the story, right? Anyway, so man, I'm telling you this stuff because I know I'm not the only one. But you, as you hear all the time, and we know it to be true, and studies prove it day in and day out, that it's the unresolved issues that show up in different reflections of our lives. And some of us use them as excuses. Some of us just ignore them and don't even realize it, and we think everything's just going to be okay. But those patterns that we've created from our behaviors, those ideas around ourselves, all that stuff shows up. And if you're copping in, I know we had some issues with the Zoom link. And so if you just got the Zoom link and you're coming in, please drop a comment section as to where you're coming in at. And we streamed this live because we didn't want to miss anybody. I know we missed some folks. I see some folks who seem to come in and out. And welcome to the 5-day challenge, right? From silence, rise from silence, right? Rise from silence, baby. The strongest thing a man can do is tell the truth, right? And we're talking about that. So, and trust me, we keep confidentiality as the highest level of importance here. So, but you're in a safe space, safe spot to be in, and welcome for those who are coming in and out. Tomorrow, Saturday, we should have the link out there and fixed, but I'm probably going to stream it both ways so that we can make sure we don't miss anybody. But thanks for those stepping in and out. And if you feel like it, let me know where you're coming from. And if this is resonating with you at all, do the same thing, right? And if there's a comment around some things that you have to say for yourself that you want us to maybe talk about over these next 5 days, please make sure you do that. Right? We've done our research to the best of our abilities as to what we feel like is one of the most common things I'm hearing all the time. Women are always in these circles I hear them talking about, man, if he gets quiet on me one more time, I'm just going to hit him in the head with a frying pan or something like that. I'm exaggerating. No, I'm not exaggerating about the frying pan. Right? So if that's you and you're hearing this, then you're in the right spot. We're just talking about going backwards and dealing with some things that we hear about all the time, right? And I'm just confirming the fact that, whatever is unresolved emotionally and spiritually, and that wound is still deep and unhealed, it shows up. It shows up in vulnerability or inability to be vulnerable. It shows up in this whole thing around going silent, feeling like we're taking, we're doing it for the benefit of the person that we call our wife or our partner. But no, man, we're not. Fellas, it's time to stop, right? It's time, if you tried other groups and you say that didn't work, or if you talk to your pastor and that hasn't worked, wherever you've been, it's time to stand into something that is really pretty simple. That's what I've been talking about, right? And we'll dig deeper into it, but I've got you doing an exercise. You have to go back, and I think the replay will be there, and you can rewind this, I think. Anyway, but you can go back. We were just talking about taking a look back. When pain becomes an excuse. When was that excuse to run away? When was the excuse to make up something to protect it? When was it an excuse not to just stand in the storm of uncertainty, stand in the storm of unfamiliar or familiar pain that you don't want to feel anymore, standing in the storm and not making excuses? So we've been asking to kind of think about where were you, and when was the first time you really felt the pain? We've got another minute or so here, and we're going to wrap this thing up. When was it? Who was it? And what did you do moving forward to protect yourself? And when did you develop this idea around silences? Like they say, silence is golden. Because it really isn't. Silence is not, man. It's either a weapon, like I used. When I say that, I would just, again, it didn't work when I had some really strong females on the other side of that. They were like, man, if that's how you want to roll, I'm out. But for those, like I said earlier, we attract who we are. So, and those women that were in that space and didn't mind that I could use the control and I could guard them and all that stuff. I am not proud of that, ladies. I am not bragging, right? I am not proud, not bragging. I understand that I'm the one that caused pain to me and for those people involved with me in my life. I am not bragging. I'm trying to get some fellas free because I know y'all out there doing this. Man, I'm gonna look up some research and figure out, I do know something. It talks about in divorcing, 55% of the divorces, and interviews men, and 85% of the men in the divorce one of the things that stood out for the women was he would surrender in silence. Just go to silence. They had had enough. Right? 85%. So if that's you out there and you're looking to have a relationship that really means something to you, man, you need to be at this challenge, right? You need to be here at this challenge. Today, we're just going to give you something light to think about, a little homework that we've given you. And let me see. I think I have, let me find it for you. Let's see. This is the mirror moment. So I'm going to read this to you. Your mirror moment exercise. Ask it. Are you protecting your relationship, your pride, your fear? Or a little boy who learned honesty was dangerous? So are you protecting your relationship by silence, your pride, your fear? Or that little boy who's been struggling all along, man? That little boy. I call that the hiding map, right? So the pain is real. I want to tell you, I know the pain is real. But it's been writing, and it's been writing. I wrote this down. It's been writing checks. Your silence keeps cashing, right? And the bank's closed, though, baby. This ends this week. This Friday, the bank's closed. This ends this week. We don't write no more checks around what we've been talking about. We're not going to write checks around silence. We're not going to let silence be the reason why. Man, silence be the reason why we end up being all by ourselves on the couch or blowing up relationships that we don't want to lose. So if you're out there and you're listening, put in the chat one word that your silence protects. What is it? One word, one person. When you go silent, what you really think it protects. Right? Whatever that might be for you. I mean, take a minute before I go. I want you to really think about this. And for those of you hopping on late, man, we had an exercise early on, so hopefully you can get the replay. And it's just a simple process of asking you some questions about when was it when you realized that telling the truth was dangerous? When was it that you learned that being silent was a way to protect yourself, keep you guarded? When was it that you understood how to use that as a weapon? Right? Use that silence controlling the relationship. And if you use that now and she's tolerating it, ooh, man. I'm gonna say this again. If you're using silence and your partner's tolerating and you're really controlling things, you got some other problems coming up, right? Because that's that relationship, man. And hey, listen, you know, again, I'm just sharing my own experience. When I was in those relationships, they never ended. That allowed me to hide and that allowed me to stay unavailable, and that would wonder why I never had a real relationship. Because of the behaviors that we've been talking about and I've been talking to you about today. And we're going to talk about all these next 4 days, right? Each day we're going to just stack on top of it. So I want you to go back and think about when was the first time you understood the power of silence, when you really started to guard yourself, when you're like, man, that first thing that hurt you, that heartbreak. We don't talk enough about heartbreak and how it does to men. And the men that say it doesn't matter to them, I think they're full of shit. I almost said it, right? I don't care. It doesn't bother me. That's a bunch of bull, right, fellas? And listen, I'm talking to the CEOs of high-level businesses, you know, successful entrepreneurs. I don't care who you are, right? Let's get to that piece. Let's peel that off. Let's set that on the side of the table and say we ain't gonna worry about that. We're gonna really get some healing, man. Because the greater you are at home, the greater you can become at home through truthful leadership and vulnerability, man. Whatever you think you are in your role in your business or on your job, it's gonna elevate, right? It's gonna be a calmness. I'm just explaining how it was for me. It's gonna be a calmness in how we respond. It's gonna be a calmness in just understanding that however you perceive me, you're gonna see me 100%. Internally and externally. Now, some of y'all running 110% outside, but on the inside, man, you're about 30, 15, 20%, baby. Got a lot of work to do. Woo. And that's okay, man. That's okay. That's why we're here. If you don't want to do any work and if you're comfortable with what you've been dealing with, then sit around and listen, because there's something that's going to come that's going to help you as well. Because again, so Homework assignment, I think I gave it to you in one word in the chat. What does your silence protect? And later on tonight, I want you to really begin to think about when was it that you first realized when that heartbreak, when that pain hit you, when was it? We've all had it, right? When was it? How did it feel? I know the answer, but I want you to write it down. When was it? How did it feel? And what did you do moving forward? I didn't raise my hand for any more insults. I didn't raise my hand and say, "Oh, I like that feeling. I want to do it again." I was like, "Okay, if that's how women are going to be, then I got something for y'all." That was my motive. I ain't proud of it, right? I was scared, confused, and didn't know where to go. So I relied on my own stuff. Who's relying on their own stuff? Come on, man. Who is it? Who's relying on their own stuff? Put me in the comment section. I already told y'all it was me. Right? So, man, listen, I encourage you to do the exercise right when it was and how is it showing up now? This week, when was the last time you were in this situation where you found yourself going silent, didn't want to talk? I don't want to yell at you, so I have nothing to say, or just stormed away, right? How many of us are out there running away from stuff? Who runs? And then says, well, I just didn't want to do it because I didn't want to cuss her out or whatever whatever response we might have said, right? Fellas, this is for real, man. You may not appreciate me, and I hope you do, but understand that I'm really trying to tell you that there is some freedom behind all it. And I'm not for everybody, but I'm for some. And if I'm for you, then this keeps showing up. So do the home. When was it? How did it feel? How did you act? Right. Y'all do that for me. And tomorrow I'm going to show up and let me see if I got what goes on tomorrow. You know, tomorrow we separate the silence. Man, this was deep. We separate the silence that protects you from the silence that is killing your connection. The one that you use for protection. So, I want to thank everybody that stopped in and out here today, and come back King Enterprises for putting this thing on. Rise from Silence, the daily run of the show. You got a little background of. Tomorrow is a big day. Let's show up tomorrow, 1 o'clock. We should have the Zoom link together. We'll want to stream it live as well. And remember this. You can heal. You will heal. But it's up to you to do the work. And understand, man, I heard you. I know. I've been there. No judgment. So let's show up tomorrow. Let's show up ready to do some work. And remember this, that no matter how you feel and what's going on in your life, you do deserve more. You are worthy of a healthy relationship. And once you get to the other side of this, oh, baby, game over. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. VIP option is still available. I believe it's a link in this. If you're looking for VIP, take a look at that. $47, I think it is, man. You get lifetime access to the information, several discovery calls, a blueprint, 30-day blueprint on how to kind of become aware of the patterns, take a look at them, own them, and start to recreate some different pattern and interruption tools so that you can use that to start chipping away at how you respond without even thinking, to where you can react without thinking, to where you can respond after thinking and keeping yourself on the right track. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Take care, everybody. As we always say at Comeback King Enterprises, your time to rise is now, and let's walk this thing together. We'll see y'all tomorrow.